From tweens proudly keeping their tennis balls stuck in the spokes of their chairs, to juniors honing their skills for competition, to the recreational player on park courts with friends who are walking or wheeling, to the elite players competing in Grand Slam tournaments, wheelchair tennis can be played by almost anyone who wants to. I'm Annette Bourbonnier from Nothing Without Us, Stories and Discussions of Meaningful Inclusion. I am a 70-ish-year-old woman with short gray hair and blue eyeglasses, and I'm sitting in a power wheelchair. If you like these episodes, please subscribe, leave me a like and a comment, and tell your friends. I am coming up on my 1 year anniversary, and it would mean a lot to me to have 100 followers. You can subscribe for free. There are paid tiers that have extra benefits, but the main series is available for free. So my guest today is Thomas Dodd, who is president of the South Coast Wheelchair Tennis Association. And I'm having him on now because we've had so much winter. I am dying for summer, and I associate tennis with summer. So welcome, Thomas. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Okay. So I wanted to do this now, like I say, because, oh yes, it's time for Think Warm Things.
Spring is right around the corner.
Oh, please tell, it's gonna be coming soon, I hope.
Mhm.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about what wheelchair tennis player is, what wheelchair tennis is, and um, you know, how prevalent is it? Uh, how important is it?
So, as you will well know, is that any adaptive sport is an important um, to a person that has a disability of any kind, for that matter, and they can find their confidence. They can find health and wellness. They can promote um, being a good advocate through sports, just like any other typical person can. And one of the things that I found when I was first hurt, many years ago, was sports helped me to come out of what my new world was going to be like when I when I acquired my disability at
Right.
17. Um, so the world, the entire world was in front of me, being that young, and then it was taken away from me when via motorcycle accident, and basically I had to start over. And one of the catalysts for me gaining my confidence back and moving forward was being involved in adaptive sports. And I've been involved in adaptive sports for 30 40 years now, in one fashion or another. In the last 10 or so years, I've been involved more with wheelchair tennis, and I kind of mold it from my other sports of, basketball and skiing and hand cycling and um, softball and whatnot. I was looking for something a little bit different, and uh, just happened to be that there was going to be a wheelchair tennis clinic in my neighborhood, or locally, I should say, and attended that, and then from there, it kind of started my wheelchair tennis journey, if you will.
Right. Well, that's pretty good. Yeah, I did know that I didn't know you were involved in all those other sports, but I did know about basketball. Um, and that's where I saw your name originally. Um, so so you've been really working in this. I want to add too that it's played all over the world.
Yep, nuts. There's a lot of different adaptive sports play over the world, but I found that tennis is probably one of the more inclusive sports that are played around the world. You'll hear about it. It's played, everything from grassroots, backyard, local courts, all the way up to the Paralympic level of competition.
Right. And we have, is it seven now, players in the International Tennis Hall of Fame? Um,
Yeah, I believe it's seven.
I think, yeah.
We had the founder of wheelchair tennis, Brad
Brad,
Fox. Um,
and
he was recently entered, I believe, was it
Brad was inducted in 2010.
2010? Yeah.
I think that's I'm thinking that was the year. Yeah. And then all the women come from the Netherlands, which tells us we
Yeah.
need to import their coaches here and get people involved because they must have one
Yeah,
whopping
I think of
program.
all the wheelchair athletes that are in the Hall of Fame, I think only two or three of them are Americans. I think
Right. Yeah.
everyone else is
Well, there's one Australian.
from all over the other parts of the world.
Yeah. David Hall is from Australia. Um, yeah, the three that are US, David Hall is Australia, and the women are all from the Netherlands. So
Yep, and I think it's yeah, I think it's predominantly women too, if I'm not mistaken either.
where?
I think it's predominant the wheelchair players in the Hall of Fame are predominantly women, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Well, there are what, three of them.
Yeah.
Chantal Van Der Donk, um,
Oni.
Monique Kalkman, and Esther Vergeer. Yeah. I've met them. I'm fortunate like that. I really am fortunate because I've been a big tennis fan all my life. So,
Yeah. And they're all great ambassadors of wheelchair tennis. They all have uh,
right,
made an impact on tennis in not only nationally but in their local neighborhoods,
right,
in their local communities of getting people with disabilities out there. Maybe not just in tennis, but because some of them are cross sport players as well, but in other sports and other activities as well.
right. Yeah. And they also have very full lives as well. And I
Yes,
think,
yes, they,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Okay, so where can people play wheelchair tennis? Um,
So in so for my through my journey, we started we had a really close knit group that started the South Coast Wheelchair Tennis Foundation in 2016, and we started doing clinics throughout mostly Rhode Island and Massachusetts, and then we um, act act as a resource to other organizations that want to promote a wheelchair tennis or have questions about wheelchair tennis, or they're a single coach that was approached to um, give lessons to a person with disabilities. And not only are we hosting clinics and hosting camps and hosting tournaments, we also act as a resource to get people onto the court um, and help with coaching workshops and things like that.
okay,
Right now, most of my clinics we're in the the winter session, so we host clinics every Sunday, 11 to 1 at the YMCA in Hanover, Massachusetts. The Emerson YMCA, they've been a great supporter of our program, and we have adults and juniors in that program. We specifically once a month we have a specific that Sunday. Once the last Sunday, January through May, is specifically for juniors and to get juniors um, playing on the court, and we do various games with them and skill sets and athletic development and working on their agility, balance, and coordination. And then we have our adults who regularly participate, and basically trying to get them to progress with their plan. So by the time, hopefully by the springtime, we'll be back outside, and we have open play sessions at the Barrington High School, usually on a Tuesday, usually 6:30 to whenever we finish playing.
that Barrington, Mass or
Sorry, Barrington, Rhode Island.
Barrington, Rhode Island.
Barrington,
Okay, good.
Barrington High
Yeah.
School, Rhode Island.
Okay, that's good.
And then I also work as a tennis in the park coach,
Okay.
and I'm gonna try to get more um, people with disabilities, juniors specifically,
Right.
into my tennis in the park program. And I do that with Woody. through USTA. And hopefully we'll get, I'm doing a couple more school visits this year, and trying to break the ice with high schools and their adaptive PE programs and the PE teachers to understand, to introduce wheelchair tennis and to understand that it's pretty, um, it's a great sport for kids with disabilities to pick up and to work with their other peers inclusively. So it's not like you need, 15 chairs and 15 different people with different disabilities to play wheelchair tennis. They can simply just play with whoever's in their class, their classmates, their siblings, their family. One of the great things about tennis is it can be a very inclusive sport.
Right. Do you want to explain that? Because I know personally, I learned to play tennis in a park. And I think that's the way a lot of people get started as kids if they're not in formal programs. But the idea that you can just play with your peers, you can play one up, one down. You don't have to have both players in a chair. Can you talk about that a bit?
Yeah, that's what makes this sport very different from other adaptive sports that I've been involved in. Take basketball, for instance. If you
Mhm.
want to play 3-on-3 wheelchair basketball, everybody has to be in a wheelchair to play wheelchair basketball, including your able-bodied friends. They would have to get into a chair. So you would have to ask your friend, your sibling, if they want to play with you, to step out of their comfort zone, get into a wheelchair, and run around the court with you. Tennis is a little bit different than that. Is that your sibling or your family member, whoever else wants to rally around the ball with you, can simply just walk onto the court and start hitting with a person in a wheelchair. So that's what I feel it makes it. It's one less barrier, if you will, one way of
Right,
making somebody a little more comfortable to get on the court and
right,
and hit with you. There's a little more to it with the your skill set and everything else that goes on with it, of rallying, but it's the social part of tennis that really brings people together with the inclusiveness, is that I don't have to ask somebody to step out of their comfort zone too much. And
right,
I don't have to ask them to get in a chair unless they, if they want to try it out, that's fine.
right,
But for me to hit with another tennis pro
right,
or
right.
another tennis player, we can just get on the court and start hitting.
Right, and then there is one difference in the rules, though. I mean, if you're in a chair, you get two bounces of the ball, where the person who's standing does not. And I think that that's an important thing to bring out, because that is the only difference in the rules between wheelchair tennis and the other tennis players that, use their legs.
Right. That's significantly another thing, is that we don't have any other modifications, um, uh, per se, to the rules of tennis. Um, we have two bounces for the most part, as you get escalate and progress in your level of playing. The two bounce rules is there, but most of us are taking the ball in one bounce anyways. As we progress up, you may start off with two bounces, but depending on your playing level, um, that rule gets is there still. You can get
Right,
the two bounces if you need them, but most high end players are playing only on one bounce. If you ever take a chance to look at the Paralympic level, a lot of those guys are not playing on a two bounce. They're playing on a one bounce, and that specifically is the only same net, same net height, same court size, same um, parameters for the game with scoring, and all the other rules apply just as well. The um, I would say the only um, difference or challenges for people playing is the accessibility of courts. Sometimes courts are not as accessible as we would like them to be. A lot of indoor courts, especially in New England, are old school from the 70s, where they built the courts on the bottom and they built their social part or their locker room structures is on top of the courts. So you can look down on the courts to watch people playing while you're in the social area of the courts. So hopefully, you know, as things progress into 2025 here, we'll get more people on board of making more places accessible. But as
Right.
far as public courts go, most of the public courts that I've been on have been fairly accessible and easy to get onto. So there's no real reason that you couldn't just go to your local court and play.
Right. I mean, I know we have a bunch of them around here in Newport. And I'm not even addressing the whole thing of Tennis Hall of Fame, where those courts are also, their hard courts are very accessible. They're
Yeah,
outdoor courts, yeah. Uh,
they get great courts.
yeah, they do. They really do. But we also have, free courts around the city. I think that's pretty cool.
And
Uh,
that's another thing that might be another barrier for some people when you think about the tennis. Tennis um has an overhead to it, if you will, of getting started. It's one of the more expensive sports to get started in. But we offer all the coaching I do from our clinics. We offer the clinics for free for participants.
right,
So we get various grant monies to help pay and provide an offset cost to pay for the court,
yeah,
to pay for the coaches, to pay for the equipment, to pay for our wheelchairs, and our participants don't have to pay for any of their for joining us on the court. And they can either, if they come one time, fine. If they want to come every single time we have a clinic, they're even more welcome to that point.
right. And I know you mentioned juniors. This year, I saw in the Australian Open, there was a wheelchair tennis division of juniors playing at the Australian Open, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, it was one of the American juniors took the doubles. I can't.
I think, yeah, I lost track. I've had a lot going on. I didn't get to watch as much of it as I had hoped. Um, but I would encourage anybody that has any interest in this or any doubt as to how athletic it is to look up some YouTube videos. Just plug in wheelchair tennis. It is also played at all the Grand Slam tournaments.
Yep, and that was one of the other things about that pulled me onto the wheelchair tennis game is
Mhm.
that again, you can play from grassroots local clubs all the way up to the Paralympics and also be, if you're one of the open players and one of the gifted players, if you will,
Mhm.
you can make a career out of it.
Yeah.
Going to all the Grand Slams have a wheelchair tennis component to it. Then there's other tournaments leading up to the slams that you can go to and make win purse money at. So there's
Oh,
um for those elite athletes that can make it to the open level of player, if there is a professional platform for you to participate, unlike some of the, I'm not sure about a whole lot of other adaptive sports where you can make a profession out of it.
I'm not aware of any,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean there
And
is.
we're also now seeing some of those players are making the crossover to like some of the other top players in the, Nadal and Djokovic. Um,
Yeah,
some of their monies come from other sponsorships and from doing advertising and things like that. We're starting to see a little bit more of that with some of the top athletes who retire out of tennis and maybe go on to a semi side career. I don't know if they're making a living, but I think what we're noticing is that um, with social media and all these other avenues of publicizing wheelchair tennis, that everybody's starting to see the athlete and not see the disability now, and starting
yeah,
to see the value of that player, and they're starting to see them in a different light where they can help to promote their products or help to um, promote their cause.
yeah, right. Yeah, I have seen a lot of, I've even seen little kids play it, so, and they're very proud to have their balls in there. in the spokes of their chair and their racket on the back. I think it's really cool. And it is, it's good to feel like you can do what others can do. You know, that is a good thing. So I would suggest, again, please, if you have any doubts as to whether this is really being athletic, check out a couple of videos. And then why don't you contact Thomas and say, yeah, let me give it a try? You know, and you might get some that'll try the wheelchair and then might be able to get them into help with coaching and stuff like that.
Yeah, we have anyone that wants to try wheelchair tennis. I'm just, phone call, email away. For the, especially during the summertime where I have some free time. I can put anybody into a chair to try it out. Coaches that are looking for pointers with their kids that have disabilities, or adults for that matter who have disabilities, I'm always available. You can check out our website, South Coast Wheelchair Tennis.org. There's resources out there for getting started and the basic needs. Again, wheelchairs, one of the things of getting into wheelchair tennis, eventually players that are going to progress or who want to progress, they're going to have to make an investment into buying a sports chair. Those can be pricey, but we look at it as an investment. And if you want to think about the other benefits of the health benefits, your wellness, for your physical and mental health of staying active as much as possible, the investment into a wheelchair is very valuable. There are grants out there to help individuals purchase sports chairs as well. So there are some avenues that may help with the financial end of that.
Like the Challenged Athlete Foundation and
Challenge Athlete is one of the bigger ones. Kelly Brush.
yeah,
Um, Again, if you go on to I have a bunch of grant places listed on the website, so check out the website. You can find some more resources on there. And
that's great.
then, so that would, as a like I said, it's you have to look at it as the chair's expensive. You have to look at it as what
Healthcare expense.
as a well, look at it as an investment that you're going to improve
Exactly.
yourself by. You're going to
Yeah,
improve your game. You're going to improve your, and there's different types of chairs. So you can get a chair that's you don't have to get a specific tennis chair. You can get a universal sports chair, so you can use it for basketball or tennis or softball or football, whatever other avenues that you're pursuing for sports, or even if you're just going to use it to push around the bike path or something to put,
right.
um, but like I said, I look at it more like, oh, it's such a huge expense, and like, well, is it beneficial for me now to start my health and wellness path, and or do I wait, um, and wait until I get much older and start having other health issues because I wasn't as active when I could have been in my younger days.
Yeah,
And there's, like I said, it's an investment. It definitely is. And the thing about the chair too is that chairs can easily last, 5 to 10 years, depending on
your involvement, your
your
activity.
your activity, you keeping the maintenance up on the chair. Technology changes probably every 5 years on wheelchairs, anyways, with the materials that they're using. Um, so you may be playing with aluminum this year, or next year the uh,
Titanium.
titanium, or whatever the next alloy carbon fiber comes out. It all depends on your your level of playing and what you want to do with the chair. I mean, I think my chair is probably 10 years old now. Maybe,
Yeah,
maybe not that old. Maybe
yeah, you're not that old
maybe
yet.
8 years, but
Yeah,
um, and just like anything else is, sometimes you just like want something different, so you want to make that new investment into another chair, and
yeah.
doesn't mean your old chair is now garbage. You can always,
Use it for pushing yourself around town.
or you can use it and you can
Right.
donate it to a program. You can donate it to a friend who wants to start playing tennis. You can, if
Yeah,
you have um, other friends that play tennis and they want to try out wheelchair tennis, you have an extra chair around that they can use.
sure.
So it's not like they will go to waste. You can always find a use for an old chair.
Right. Now on your website, I am going to post the link to the website in the in the notes with this episode.
Great.
Is there a link on the website for coaches to?
Yeah, if they go to my resources, they'll find some information there for coaches that are looking for some pointers, if you will. And most
Okay,
of the information that's on the website is still pretty basic, I guess. They'll
okay,
give you, they're only 2 or 3 minute videos. So
right,
you're not going to get the full gamut of wheelchair tennis. That's why if you're looking to do coaching and programming, a phone call is always warranted versus the information that you'll find on the website.
yeah,
And again, going back to um, the inclusiveness of tennis is that you don't have to start a separate wheelchair tennis program. If that wheelchair junior wants to come on, they can go into your orange ball, red ball, green ball program and start playing with those kids with little modification to
yep, they
depending
get two bounces of the ball.
yeah, depending on the depending on their skill set and their mobility.
Right,
Um,
your agility,
and
yeah,
just like any, most of the coaches I find they have to adapt anyways, even to their own classes from week to week.
yeah,
This is no different than adapting, to that player's level
right, okay,
or in their function of disability.
right. Um, anything else you want to add to this?
Um, like I said, if we're running programmings all through Rhode Island and Massachusetts, for the um, winter sessions. Hopefully, the good weather's going to come sooner than later, and we'll be back outside during the summertime.
Yeah,
Uh,
it is pretty hard to play this in the snow.
yeah, um, we're going to have more coaches workshops coming up. We do have one of the biggest things that we are pushing right now is the junior wheelchair initiative, where we're trying to make ourselves known to the PE, um, uh, the adaptive P programs in high schools and the uh, other adaptive organizations, and to parents that we do have a junior initiative where we are trying to get as many juniors out onto the court as possible
Right.
to play wheelchair tennis. So we're always looking for new players. And as of right now, we have the winter sessions at Hanover, 11 to 1 on Sundays at the Emerson YMCA. And we have, some of our juniors are driving over, an hour to come to our program. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that can be an issue. I did take a wheelchair tennis clinic at Harvard. Oh, more than 10 years ago. It was when I was still hand cycling a lot. And I had a great time for almost a full day. And then I got in my van and I had trouble lifting my arms to drive home.
yeah, that happens to everybody. That's
Yeah,
one of the
right.
good things when we go back to our health and wellness.
Yeah,
If
right.
if you don't use it, you lose it. So
Right. But I always used it, but in a different way. So,
yeah, I
um,
would say,
eh,
keep
yeah.
pushing.
Well, thanks a lot, Thomas. I'm going to make sure your website is in the links. And if there are any other links you want me to, in the notes, and if there are any other links you want me to have, I will put them in there. Okay.
Great.
All
Yeah.
right. Cool. All right. Thank you for listening. I'm Annette from Nothing Without Us. If you like this episode and want to hear more like it, please subscribe, leave me a like and a comment. Above all, please tell your friends. I'm trying to reach 100 members before the 1 year anniversary next month. Please tell your friends they can see this podcast at patreon.com/nothingwithoutus or on YouTube, on Spotify, and your favorite audio platform. You can also find me on LinkedIn and Blue Sky. So while subscriptions are free, you can see my new sub-series, Bitch on Wheels, on the ally or activist tiers. So this sub-series is a little edgier, maybe sarcastic, angry, or humorous. So until the next Nothing Without Us, I'm Annette Bourbonnier.